All right, we have decided we are going to grow our own mushrooms. I've got 5 varieties. Stay tuned, and I'm going to show you what varieties we have and how we're going to grow these mushrooms. Michelle and I talked, and we decided we're going to try growing our own mushrooms as an alternate food source for some of the items that we use to cook. Now, the varieties that we have chosen are shiitake, portobello, chestnut mushrooms, pink oyster, and lion's mane. Now, before we add all this liquid culture to our spawn jars, we want to keep a supply of this. If we like this, we want to keep doing this. We want our own supply that we can come back from. So we are going to do 2 things today. We're going to get a jar and we're going to create our own liquid culture. We're going to use this bigger jar, and we're going to put some wheat berries in here. We're going to get that prepared, and we're going to inoculate these wheat berries. So 2 things. All right, so I went to my local feed store and I bought a big bag of wheat, 50 pounds. Now, wheat expands when it gets wet. And since we have 5 varieties here, I want to do 5 jars of wheat. All right, we've got our wheat berries covered over with water. Now, after we give these 12 hours to soak up, we don't want these wheat berries to germinate. So we're going to put them on the stove on a low simmer boil for 15 minutes, and that's going to kill those wheat berries and keep them from sprouting while we're waiting for the mycelium to inoculate over the wheat berries. My name is King Fungus, and so I've been told. I use my wheat berry to grow my mold. My mycelium.
Inoculate.
My mycelium.
Propagate.
I measure out some water to a little bit of honey. This takes some time, not a whole lot of money. My mycelium.
Inoculate.
My mycelium.
Propagate.
Growing the mushrooms, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Just check out this culture and you will see. You heat it up now, under the pressure.
Cool it down now.
Inoculate the measure. My mycelium.
Inoculate.
My mycelium.
Propagate.
All right, the next step in doing our liquid culture is we got to prepare our jar lids. This is some liquid culture that I've already processed, and this is what I'm going to show you how I made. It's a 4% honey to a water solution. The first thing we've got to do is make our jar lids. So on the top here we have bought a red RTV silicone, And the reason we went with this is because it's the high temperature. We use the high temperature so that it will survive pressure canning. Now how we do it is, we took a Forstner's bit, 1/4 inch, smallest one in the package, and then right in the center, we're going to drill a little hole. So now we have a 1/4 inch hole right in the center. This one is going to be for our liquid culture jar. Now we take our RTV. RTV is a silicone, high temperature silicone. And then we just dab that on right over the hole and into the hole. Now this will cause it to reseal every time you stick a needle in here. It'll close back up and it won't allow any type of bacteria or viruses or anything to come through and contaminate your liquid culture. So now we're going to allow this to sit overnight and dry. That's for the liquid culture. We might as well go ahead and prepare lids for our wheat berries for our grain spawn. And so we're going to use, instead of this wide mouth one you see here, we're going to go ahead and use a narrow mouth lid. And we're also going to, this time we're going to drill 2 holes, one in the middle, and then one off to the side. Two 1/4 inch holes. Now we're going to take the RTV silicone and do just like we did for our liquid culture. Just cover that up, down into the hole, flip it over to the other side. And we kind of want to put a little dab to cover so that that doesn't just fall out of there after it creates a bond. So that dries, that won't just fall out of that hole.
What do you do with the other hole?
Now, for the other hole, we've got to put some polyfill in it. That's going to allow the grain spawn to breathe and have some type of air exchange without allowing bacteria and viruses to enter in here and contaminate this while your mycelium is taking over your wheat berries. We're going to put a little bit of polyfill. Now you can generally get polyfill at your big box stores like Walmart. And it's probably about $6 or $7 for a bag, and it's just what you stuff a pillow or a cushion with. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Let's go. Don't try this at home, people. Should never miss this one little piece.
You do realize I'm your wife, the one who's filming this video.
I wouldn't have done this without her permission, and she said she wasn't really using that pillow. She was going to get rid of it anyway. Just ball that up, put it right into the hole there. Comes out the other side. We'll just pull that through a little bit. And now we'll let that lid dry. When that dries, we'll be back and we'll show you the next step. All right, everybody, it's been 24 hours since we put the water on the wheat berries, and I noticed that I'm starting to get some sprouts down in there. Let me see if I can pull some of those out. I don't think any of those are starting to sprout yet, but either way, I'm starting to notice some sprouts on some of the wheat berries. Now, I know that works favorable whenever you're brewing beer, because if you have a sprouted wheat grain, it starts changing the carbohydrates to sugars. And I know that mycelium feeds off sugars. This may work into our advantage. But anyway, I need to stop this from growing. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on a low boil for about 15 minutes just to kill these wheat berries off. Now I've got more wheat berries than what's going to fit in the jar because these all swelled up. That's fine. I've got chickens that I can give all the extra wheat berries to. I just wanted to make sure that I had plenty to go in my jar. They're cheap enough. If you buy them by the 50-pound sack, you don't have to worry about being over, but you really don't want to be short. We're going to get that going on a low boil, but when we do that, we're going to go ahead and move on and talk about some other things. We still have to make our liquid culture. Now, I've got a little jelly jar here, and on the side of this jelly jar, it has milliliters. I have 50 milliliters, 100 milliliters, and 150 milliliters. Now our sugar to water ratio that we want our liquid culture, I'm going to use honey as my sugar base, and the ratio is 3 to 4% sugar to water. 3% would be 3 grams to 100 milliliters, or 4 grams of honey to 100 milliliters. So we're just going to put this on our weight scale, turn it on, that's going to zero it out. And then I'm going to take my honey that I have here, some of our personal honey from our honeybees that we had. And I'm just going to measure out to approximately between 3 to 4 grams, just kind of land ballpark. There's 2, there's 3, there's 4. Well, we're a little over at 5. We don't really want to be at 5. I'm going to take some of that out of there. Just take my finger and let's see where that lands. That's 4. I'm okay with 4. Or you could add a little bit of extra water. Let's fill this up to the 100 milliliter. Right at 100 milliliters, right where we want it to be. Now let's take a little spoon and let's stir that up and get that all mixed up. All right, since we're only going to do 15 minutes under 10 pounds of pressure, just for the one jar up to however many you can put in here, we're only going to put 1 quart of water. That'll be enough for just the few minutes that we're going to do. There's no use in spending all that time trying to bring all that water up to temperature. Let's kick that over on high. Let's take our jar, make sure we're finger tight here on top. Set that over in the pressure canner by itself. Now we're only going to do the 1 jar. We have 5 syringes. I've already got some others prepared. This is just for demonstration for you guys. Our wheat berries have come up to a low boil. We've got about 15 minutes on them. It's already been 15 minutes here at 10 pounds of pressure. We're going to go ahead and turn that off. Turn our wheat berries off. And then let's go ahead and go to the sink and let's put some cold water on these and get these to stop cooking real quick. You don't want to overcook the wheat berries. You just want them to kill the enzymes and then soften them up a little bit so that it absorbs a little bit of moisture into the wheat berries. Turn that to cold water. All right, that's good to go. It's right where we want it. Nice and cooled off. We're gonna get these wheat berries drained off and we're gonna put this over in the jar. You don't want the pressure to come off too quick, then you risk breaking the jar that's inside there. All right, we got 3 quarts of water in the pressure canner. We're gonna put a piece of aluminum foil right over the top of this jar. That's gonna keep water from pooling up and getting the cotton wet. And it's also gonna allow pressure to equalize inside the jar here. So it's gonna keep that, keep moisture from going into the jar, but allowing pressure. All right, we got our liquid culture jars made up. We have our grain spawn jars made up. Now, when we canned our liquid culture jars, if you notice, there's a seal on the jar, just like you would pressure can any vegetables in a pressure canner. We've got to relieve that pressure, as if we don't, we go to inject our liquid culture into our jar, it's going to suck all of it out and we won't have any to put into our grain spawn. So how we're going to do that is, we've got this bigger syringe, we'll take some polyfill, put that down in there. I've got a little ramekin of isopropyl alcohol. Take the needle off. We're going to suck just a little bit of that alcohol, and we're going to sanitize the polyfill. Squish that back out, all the way out. Get all that out of there. So we don't want that going down into our liquid culture. Now we'll pull it back, and any air going into that needle will be sanitized from the alcohol going through the polyfill. We're using the polyfill as a sanitizing. So now we'll just go ahead and relieve the pressure on all of our canning jars. First I want to sanitize the top of the jar and the needle.
So you're going to blow water in it?
We're going to blow air into it.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Look at that.
It just sucked that right out.
It sure did. All right, portobello mushroom.
So what step is this? Inoculating?
We're inoculating our jars. We're going to inoculate our green spawn. All right, we've got everything inoculated. We're going to give this a couple of weeks. We should see some nice growth within a couple of days, but we're going to bring you back in a couple of weeks when we're ready to do something with these berries, when they're fully mature and we're ready to move on to the next step. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed it. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Growing mushrooms, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Just check out the culture and you will see.
Okay. Do that one more time. Growing mushrooms is as easy as a 1, 2, 3. Let me start it over.
Yeah, just keep that on repeat. That's good. Have that beat in the background.
So growing mushrooms is as easy as a 1, 2, 3. Just check out the culture and you will see.
Growing mushrooms, it's as easy as what?
Growing mushrooms is as easy as a 1, 2, 3. Just check out the culture and you will see.
Growing mushrooms is
it's as easy as a 1, 2, 3.
It's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Just check out this culture and you will see. Okay? Give it a little bit of a more when you say it.
Growing mushrooms is as easy as Growing mushrooms is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Check out this culture and you will see. You heat it up under the pressure.
Cool it down now.
Okay, I'm going to have to redo that.
Yeah, so start with heat it up under the pressure.
Growing mushrooms is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Just check out this culture and you will see. You heat it up under the pressure. Cool it down.
Cool it down now.
Mess that up.
Well, that says
That's
me.
Okay.
And then you come in, inoculate the measure.
You have to restart on that.
What, the song?
On the song. Yeah.
Whenever you do it like this. Growing mushrooms is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Give it a little
Yeah, okay.
and then just check out the culture and you will see. You heat it up under the pressure. See, that's like a pause. You heat it up under the pressure and I'll be like, cool it down now. And then inoculate the measure. And then we go into my...
I inoculate the
Yeah,
measure?
you say inoculate the measure, but just back off after you say you heat it up under the